And don't hate me, but we're going to start standing today. So we're going to just get after it right away. So just finding a nice Tadasana, and I suggest having your feet hips distance apart, especially since we're doing this at the beginning of class. Let's roll our shoulders back. You might get all kinds of interesting cracks and sounds here. And then let's roll our shoulders forward. Which I always think feels incredibly awkward going this direction. Maybe you're in that camp too. Back again. Good. Allow your shoulder blades to release down your back. So arms come by your side and you're kind of spinning the arms open. You're getting a little external rotation. So the palms face forward, maybe even roll out a little bit. You don't need to overdo it. Put your brain down into your feet and maybe lift the toes up, spread them out. And as you're doing that, really focus on pressing into the four corners of the feet. So the mound of the big toe, mound of the little toe, inner heel and outer heel. It might feel like your arches miraculously start to lift a little bit. Hold on to that, gently place the feet down. And let's just do a little gentle side to side stretching. So finding a little flow. So as you inhale, lean to the left. Exhale, release that left arm down. Inhale, right arm up and overhead. Lean to the left. Good, exhale, release. Just continuing like this. Maybe close your eyes here. Just moving with your breath, that inhale through your nose, that exhale through your nose, really listening to that sound and enjoying this rhythm that you're creating. You might find as you begin to warm up here that you can lean a little further to each side. Doesn't matter if that's happening. Good, the next time your left arm is reaching up and over, let's hold there. Spin the pinky side of that left hand down, maybe even start to bring your gaze up. Notice if that left foot is getting really light, keep pressing evenly into both feet. And then maybe you want to turn this into a little bit of a kind of like a half wrap so you can reach your right hand around any amount. You might even just be pressing your hand into your back. But then use that leverage to press the right shoulder head back. So getting a little opening there. So kind of like a reverse warrior position in our upper body. Deep inhale. Exhale, release. And then inhale, stretch to the other side. So just holding here a few breaths, trying to evenly press into your feet. And then maybe taking that wrap. So finding a little leverage to press your left shoulder head back. Spin the pinky side of that right hand down. Maybe gaze up underneath your arm. Good, deep inhale. Exhale, release down. So arms release by your side as you inhale. Stretch arms out and up. As you exhale, deep bend in your knees. Exhale, fold in. Let's take a couple of breaths here. And you might even find that this is giving you a little bit of release in your lower back after that lateral side to side stretching. Notice if all the weight goes forward into your toes or if you're sitting into your heels. Again, find that sensation of pressing into the four corners of your feet. And then keep your knees nice and deeply bent. Take your arms out wide. Inhale, come on up. I'm just going to do that a few times. Exhale, deep bend in your knees. Fold in. Let the back of your neck release down. Inhale, reverse. Swan dive up. Exhale, fold in. Bend in the knees. Inhale, press on up. And as we exhale, we fold. And again, hanging here. So fingertips on the floor. Maybe begin to firm your legs to straight. So engage the muscles above the knees to help you find that. It feels like your sit bones start to stretch up towards the ceiling. And then we're going to come into Arda Uttanasana. So you can have fingertips on the floor. Most of us are going to take our hands to our shins or our thighs, depending upon how tight you are. A little bend in the knees is absolutely fine here. So chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. You're making an L shape with your body. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, lengthen Arda Uttanasana, half forward fold. Exhale into your full forward fold. Couple more like that. Inhale, lengthen. This is kind of like a little cat-cow, a variation of that. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, press into your feet, extend forward through the sides of your waist. Exhale, fold, reverse swan dive up this time again. So as you inhale, press down, stretch arms out and up. And as you exhale, hands come together at your heart. So let's connect it all together, move into our half sun salutes. As you inhale, reach up. As you exhale, fold in. You can have a bend in your knees, especially as we start to warm the body up. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Exhale, fold. Press down to rise up. And then as you exhale, hands come together at your heart. We have 4 more of these, just moving with your breath. Maybe close your eyes. I'm not going to cue you. You can just follow along with me if you know these well. Just move at your rhythm. Standing really tall, finding space in your body, and then also just moving with this sense of grace and ease, this sense of fluidity. Even if you think you're the most awkward, graceless person in the world, channel your inner ballerina here. Let this feel really beautiful. It is a gift to be able to move. It's something that we very easily take for granted. So enjoy this little half sun salute that you're doing right now. Simple though it may be. Good, and when you're done with that 4th round, you're just pausing in your mountain pose, Tadasana, palms together at your heart. Eyes might still be closed here. If they're open, you can go ahead and close them or just gaze softly down at your fingertips. Observe how you're feeling, observe what's shifting for you so far. Good, and then if your feet are together, go ahead and bring them to hips distance apart. Let's just do a little chair pose, moving with the breath. So little vinyasa flow here. Exhale, release your arms by your side. As you inhale, knees bend, arms reach up, chair. Exhale, fold in, stretch your arms back behind you. Keep the bend in the knees, inhale, chair pose. Exhale, press nice and slow, engage the muscles in your legs. Inhale, knees bend. Exhale, fold in, gaze is soft and gentle in front of you. Inhale, back into that chair pose. Feel the outer glutes squeeze in towards each other. Inhale, press legs to straight. 3 more. Inhale. Exhale. Shoulder heads lift here. Inhale, back into your chair. Exhale. Use those quadriceps, those glutes to push you up. Inhale. Exhale. Good. Inhale, Uttanasana. Exhale, press legs to straight. You're feeling the burn in your legs. Love it. 1 more. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Press your legs to straight. Hands come together at your heart. All right. So maybe have some blocks at the top of your mat, especially if you know that you tend to be a little bit tighter in hamstrings and quadriceps, so these big muscles in the legs. And we're at the top of our mat here. We're going to inhale, stretch arms out and up. As you exhale, hinge forward, fold in. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Step that left foot way back. Land on that knee. Good, and then we're just going to do a little flow here. So exhale, you're releasing that left hip flexor down. Inhale, pull back, Arda Uttanasana, half splits. That front leg might not come all the way to straight, especially if your hamstrings, lower back are tight. So exhaling forward, Inhaling back, right hip back, left hip forward. Exhale in. Good, inhale back. Let's do one more here. Exhale, release in. Inhale, pull back. Good, exhale, come on up here. So upright yourself, direct your tailbone down, sternum stretches up. You might find that you need to walk your right foot off to the right. So we want our legs, hips distance apart. As you inhale, stretch arms out and up, and then left fingertips to right fingertips to left wrist rather. Lean to the right. Keep squeezing outer hips in towards each other. Good, come up to center. And then as you exhale, go ahead and press palms. So frame that front foot, curl your left toes under. We're just gonna step back to downward facing dog. So first downward dog of the day. Take a moment here, maybe pedal back and forth between your feet, shift hips side to side, anything that feels good in your body. I always love to flip onto the top of one foot. So stretching out the front of the foot. It's like a hurts so good. I might be weird that I like this, but I think it's really yummy. It's not something that we do a lot. So you can check that out. I know I'm flexible when I can do both feet. That's definitely not happening for me today. All right, so eventually come back to just your standard downward dog. So feet hips distance apart, you're gazing between your feet. Arms or shoulders distance apart. You're spreading your fingers gently and pressing down into all 10 knuckles. Be careful of what's behind you as you inhale, lift your left leg. So hips stay even, and then exhale, step that foot through, land on your right knee. So again, maybe hands on blocks. Exhale, melt the front of this right leg down towards the mat. Inhale, pull back. Good, exhale, sink in. Inhale, pull back. How is this side different in your body? You're noticing, you're observing, exhaling, melting in. Inhale, pull back. We got one more full cycle here. Just kind of warming everything up, loosening everything up. In an attempt to make some of these longer holds, we're going to be moving towards the yin part of our practice a little easier. So uprighting yourself, outer hips squeeze in towards each other as you inhale, arms reach out and up, and we're gonna lean to the left. So left fingertips to right wrist. Keep spinning those left ribs up. Maybe you're gazing up underneath that top arm. Are you breathing? That inhale through your nose, that exhale through your nose. So finding your ujjayi breath. All right, come back to center. As we exhale, hands plant down, curl your right toes under. We're gonna step that right foot to meet our left foot. Inhale, chest extends forward. Exhale, fold in. Pressing down into your feet. Arms reach out and up. As we exhale, hands come together at our heart. Inhale, reach. Good, left fingertips, right wrist. Exhale, side bend left. Inhale, up to center. Right fingertips, left wrist, side bend to the right. Good, inhale, back to center. As you exhale, fold in. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Palms plant, right foot back. Make sure you're not on a tightrope. Inhale, rise up, full crescent pose. As you exhale, bend both knees. Inhale, press both legs to straight. Left hip back, right hip forward. It's a little bit of that Arda Uttanasana half splits. Exhale in. Good, inhale, press up. One more. Exhale in. Good, inhale, press legs to straight. And then exhale, come in here, maybe keep that right leg nice and active so that right knee not bending. A little bend is good though if you're really tight in that hamstring. Perhaps bring your gaze up, press palms together. As we exhale, hands come down. Keep your gaze forward. Hips low, nice and easy. See if you can sneak that left foot back to meet your right foot. Here we are in our plank pose. Few breaths. Use the legs more than you think you can. Feel shoulder blades squeeze in towards each other. Gaze an inch or two in front of your fingertips. The tendency is to look at your toes here. Nothing going on. Unless you're me, in which case it's a bad home job manicure going on. So who needs to see that? Nobody. All right, shift forward here, come to knees, elbows bend to halfway, pause, and then come onto your belly. Tops of the feet press. Let's reach our arms by our side, lift the shoulder heads here. Press down into all 10 toenails. Inhale, chest extends forward and up. Exhale, lower. Inhaling up. Good, exhale, lower down. Inhale, up. Good, just holding here, breath smooth and steady. That inhale through your nose, that exhale through your nose. Feeling the outer hip squeeze in a little bit. Rolling slightly to the outer edges of your feet. You don't want to overdo that. So heels pointing up towards the ceiling. Good, bend your elbows, bring your fingertips underneath your shoulder heads. So here we are, Bhujangasana Low Cobra. If you would like, maybe start to straighten your elbows a little bit, but keep your pubic bone, your hip bones down on the earth and press your shoulder heads back a lot. This can feel like really intense in the lower back. So if it's not working for you, skip it. Lower back down to low cobra. All right, roll on down here. We're gonna press to our tabletop as we exhale. Curl toes under, downward facing dog. As you inhale, be careful about what's behind you. Inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, step that foot through. Make sure you're not on a tight rope here. Inhale, rise up, crescent. And then exhale, both knees bend a lot. Inhale, press legs to straight, right hip back, left hip forward. Couple more. Starting to feel some heat. Feeling the intensity in these big muscle groups in the legs especially. All right, inhale up. Good, exhale, bend. And then maybe start to bring that left leg to straight. Breath smooth and steady, tailbone releases down, sternum reaches up. You can take your arms wide here, especially if the shoulders are tight, if you're a little more open. Maybe palms press, you gaze up. As you exhale, hands come to the mat. Step your left foot to meet your right foot. Inhale, chest extends. Exhale, fold in. Pressing down into your feet, stretching arms out and up. Good, as you exhale, hands come together at your heart. All right, classic sun salutes here. Inhale, reach up. As you exhale, fold in. Inhale, chest lengthens forward. Bend your knees, plant your palms, right foot back, then left on the same exhale, shift forward, maybe come to your knees, lower halfway, hover, then all the way down. Inhale, low cobra. If you're ready for an up dog, drag your hands back, wrists under elbows. Press into the tops of your feet. So this time, shins, knees, thighs are lifting up off the mat. If that's not happening, lower back down. From here, we pull back, downward facing dog. We take a few breaths. If you're in your low cobra, you make that transition by pressing to your tabletop. Sorry, this is weird. Somebody's at the door. Hi.
Hi, I love your pineapple.
Oh, thank you.
Cool peoples. My name is James Wolf.
Hi.
Nice to meet you. We're doing a huge drive for the United States military.
I'm actually teaching a Zoom yoga class right now. I'm sorry.
Yup.
First for everything. Okay, where were we? We were in downward facing dog. Okay, so we're taking a few breaths here. I'm figuring out where I am in time and space. We're gonna take a little bend in the knees, come to the tippy toes. The end of your exhale, lightly hop both feet through or step right foot forward, then left foot forward. Inhale, chest extends forward. Exhale, fold in. Rooting down into your feet, stretching arms out and up. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. I just learned something really cool, actually. So if a solicitor comes to your door, regardless of what you're doing, just tell them that you're teaching a Zoom yoga class and it's not a good time. Scares them right off. All right, here we go. Arms reach. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Bend your knees, plant your palms, left foot back, then right foot, shift forward, lower halfway, hover, or all the way down. Inhale, low cobra or upward facing dog. As you exhale, downward facing dog, few breaths here. So ears are lining up with your biceps, the inner arm. And maybe already you're starting to notice that you're getting a little more lengthening in the hamstrings. You're finding a little more ease in the lower back. You might not be there. That's okay as well. Good. Little bend in your knees. Come to your tippy toes. End of your exhale, lightly hop or step left and right. You can always walk forward too. Many ways to get to the top of the mat. As you exhale, folded. Pressing down into your feet. Stretching arms out and up. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. Let's just do a quick little tree pose here. So a fun little balance pose. So finding your Tadasana. Feet about hips distance apart. Let's root down into that left foot. Belly pulls in and up, outer hip squeezes in. Good, come up onto your tippy toes. Open up that right hip. So you might just stay here like this, toes on the mat. This is the pose, this counts. Maybe you can lift that foot, right foot to the shin. You might be able to reach down, kind of snuggle that foot up. So pressing into the left thigh. We don't want the right foot on the knee since that's a joint. And then you can bring your palms to heart center. And I don't know if you can tell, but my standing foot is doing so much work. So there's all of these little stabilizers in the foot engaging to keep me upright. So it seems pretty static. It seems like a pose where, not much is going on, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Okay, so finally, maybe start to stretch your arms up. And again, you can take your arms as wide as you need to here, especially if you're bulkier in the upper arms, the shoulders, or if you're a little tighter. Wider is going to feel better. Otherwise, if you're a little more open, you could always reach your arms up overhead. Let's all challenge ourselves by bringing our gaze up. If you are outside, or if you have a tall ceiling, you might fall right out of this tree pose. Just yell timber and enjoy coming on down, and then find the pose again. All right, as we exhale, hands come to heart center. Release your foot. Ooh, give the legs a little walk out. And we're going to take our second side. So rooting into the right foot. This outer right hip squeezes in, your lower belly pulls in and up. Come up onto these left toes and then find that hip opening. So this is not unlike our warrior two pose, our side angle pose, our triangle pose, same shape. You could be here. And this side might feel a lot different, so know that. Maybe you lift the foot to the shin. Perhaps you have the hip flexibility to snuggle that foot into the upper right thigh. The other thing about this pose that's helpful with the balance is to keep breathing. So that inhale through your nose, that exhale through your nose. It's interesting when poses get challenging, when life gets challenging, the breath gets really shallow, or sometimes we start to hold it. So notice if that's your tendency. And then the other thing that's helpful is to find something to gaze at in front of you, something that's not moving, a drishti, and that can often help with the balance. So stretch the arms up. Imagine that there is this string attached to your sternum and somebody's just gently pulling you, or somebody's holding onto your wrists and lifting you up. See if you can just get like 2 millimeters taller here. Maybe you want to go for inches. That's cool too. Finally, perhaps press palms, gaze up. As we exhale, hands release down. All right, so we're gonna start to move to the yin portion of our practice today, which is gonna feel really nice. It's been a while since we've done this. So I want to start in a nice kind of heart-opening, hip stretch pose. So I'm going to give you a couple of options. If you're close to a wall, you're going to actually take your legs up the wall. So just demo this really quick. So you're gonna snuggle up close to the wall. Hardest part is getting in. And then you're gonna bring the soles of your feet together. So you're coming into your butterfly pose. And the diamond could be big, could be a little tighter, kind of depends on how tight you are in your groin. So if you don't have a wall close, your other option is to just come onto your spine and do the same thing. And there's a few things that you can do to give yourself a little more intensity or a little less intensity. So if you'd like a little more intensity, you could take your feet on a blanket or a cushion from the couch and lay down. So the more height you have, the more you're gonna start to feel this a little deeper. The other thing that might happen, if you're just doing this on the floor and you tend to be tighter in this inner thigh, the groin, you're gonna take some blocks underneath your legs. So you're gonna give yourself a little support. You could use cushions from the couch, some pillows, so whatever. So find a place to be. And we're gonna hold this for a good 5 minutes here. So settle in, adjust, get comfortable-ish. As you know, with our yin practice, there is definitely some sensation happening. We're stretching deep into the joints, into the fascia, and it can actually be a little uncomfortable. You also don't want to be muscularly engaging too much, whereas we do that more so in our vinyasa practice. So try to release. That might mean you need more proppage, and it might mean as we hold these poses, as we get a little deeper into the hold, you have to back out a little bit as well. So great piece of our yin practice is that it really teaches us to pay attention to our body in a different way. In regards to your arms here, they could be by your side, palms facing up. You want to feel a little stretch across your heart and chest. If you want a little more opening, you could do cactus arms. So reaching the arms up overhead. Probably the most intense position here would be to grab opposite elbows up overhead. You are more than welcome to continue practicing your Ujjayi pranayama. So with our Ujjayi breath, we're inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. We're creating that soft rush of air in the back of the throat. So there's a little bit of sound there. Maybe you want to let that go, however. So you'd still inhale and exhale through your nose, but it doesn't have that effort. And you might even in your yin practice want to stretch the breath out a little bit. Maybe even count the breath. So inhaling to 6 or 7 or 8, maybe even observing a slight pause at the top. And then exhaling to that same number, pausing at the bottom. Do a little scan of your body, observe if you're holding tension any place that you don't need to. So yes, there's going to be stretch, especially in the inner thigh, the groin area, potentially in the shoulders, maybe even in the outer hips a little bit, or the hamstring. We don't want the shoulders creeping up around the ears. You don't need to be gripping fingers and toes. Make sure that your jaw is soft and relaxed. So work the places that you need to, relax in the other places. If your arms are crossed up overhead, go ahead and just switch the cross here and just observe if that feels a little different in your body. I'm just trying to pay attention to your breath, paying attention even to the sensations in your body. I'm trying to be like non-reactive about that, especially, well, you know, maybe this feels really easy in your body. Maybe this feels really hard in your body. So don't attach to that. You're just noticing. And you're remembering that every time when we get on our mat, things are a little bit different. So that we practice these the same yoga poses over and over again. Some of us for, years, decades. There's still these fluid things. There's always ways that we can refine There's ways that the poses are changing and growing. And it's subtle sometimes. Sometimes we don't even know that it's happening. But we try to cultivate this mindfulness and pay attention to that. And I think these long held yin poses are ideal for tuning in to what's going on with the shape of the poses. We've got about 3 or 4 more really good breaths here. Let's all take a nice deep inhale here together. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, let it go, ha. And then if you're at the wall or if you're just on your mat, you're gonna take your hands underneath your knees, gently draw in. If your feet are at the wall, just go ahead and press back. You can come back to your mat or just kind of lengthen away from the wall. We're gonna come into a happy baby pose here, and we're gonna hold this for a couple of moments. So on your back, kind of depends on your flexibility. You're gonna either press thighs down, maybe you can grab the outer edges of the feet so your elbows come to the insides of the leg. So both good places to be. See what you need, and then you're just using the strength of your arms to help you pull down a little bit. I'm gonna set our timer for a couple of minutes here. And this gets into a different place in that inner groin. You might be feeling it in, again, in the glute hamstring attachment. Modify as needed. So yes, sensation, but not so intense that you're tightening everything, that you're having a hard time breathing. Just observe how potentially you start to soften into the pose a little more as time passes. About 3 more good breaths here. Good, and then just start to hug your knees in, rock and roll a little bit from side to side. And we're gonna move towards a hip flexor stretch. So we're gonna come to our dragon pose. If you know that you're feeling really tight in the front of the leg, so the hip flexor quadricep, even in the hamstrings today, if you're just feeling kind of tired and mellow, stay on your back, and I'm gonna give you an option for this pose. Otherwise, you're gonna go ahead and roll on up. We're gonna come to a tabletop position. And you might want to have some blocks here. You also might want to pad up your back knee, your left knee. So we're going to step this right foot forward. And then you're going to slide that left knee back as far as feels good. So just coming into our dragon stretch here. We're going to hold this for 3 minutes. And like I said, if you go here and it doesn't feel good, come on out. I've started the timer. If you are on your back, Your option here would be to kind of do that happy baby scenario that we just had. So just with one leg, so your left knee can be bent and you can be pressing down on that right thigh, maybe grabbing the outer edge of the foot, and then see if you can turn this right knee out a little more. And that's going to give you a little more sensation. You also might extend your left leg to straight. So this is a nice little variation for you if being upright doesn't feel great today. If you are upright and you're wanting to play with some different variations, a couple of options would be, so this is like our mid-level dragon. Maybe you want to do a high flying dragon. So you upright yourself. That gets into this hip flexor a little more. So that can feel really nice. You could also have your hands resting on blocks here, or maybe use a wall to help you balance. So perhaps you want to do more of a low flying dragon. So both hands would come to the inside. You can walk that right foot out. You could even turn the toes out and then let that knee wing out a little bit. And then perhaps bring your forearms down to the floor or to blocks. And you can kind of play with all of the different variations, you know, so taking several breaths in each pose. Super intense. This is a good one to do, but it's not necessarily fun to do. It's great though for opening all these big muscle groups, stretching them out. When they get really tight, that tends to pull on the lower back. So sometimes you can get those lumbar issues. So know that this is helping all of that, regardless of how deep you are in the pose. Don't get too attached to that. The important thing is that you are feeling some sensation that's good for your body. And then you also want to be mindful, particularly if you tend to be a little more flexible, that you're not pushing too far. So the flexies in the world tend to be these sensation junkies. So they go too far and often are injured as a result. So being tight is actually kind of a good thing. Your body has built-in boundary. So there's only so much damage you can do. We're going to start to make our way out here. So if you're on your back, you're just going to release that foot down. And we're going to come into a couple options here too. So we're going to come into our sleeping swan pose. We're going to do it on the right side. So I'm going to start to heel toe this right foot off to the left. I'm going to bend the knee. And then you're going to want to bring that right heel towards that left hip. And then you melt down any amount. And again, your hands could be on blocks. You're reaching back nice and long through that left leg. So that leg is in cobra pose. If you're on your back here, you're going to come into your reclining pigeon. So taking your right ankle above your left knee, you might just stay here like this. Perhaps you bend left knee in towards your chest, and then you interlace your fingers around your shin or thigh. And just checking out how this feels in your body. Like I said, this can be quite intense. Some of us love this. Do less if you're in the camp where this is really intense. You could also be propping yourself up here. So sliding a blanket or a block underneath that right butt cheek. If you're in pretty deep, you might come to rest on your forehead, or you could stack fists with your hands, so rest there. And then check in with your breath again. So find a nice, even rhythm, whatever that looks like for you today. Maybe you're taking longer inhales and exhales. Maybe you're just kind of allowing the breath to find its own natural rhythm. making sure that there's not tension in places that there doesn't need to be. So fingers, toes, they're soft and relaxed. Jaw, face, soft and relaxed. Trying to keep your brain quiet. That's the hardest thing to do. So you do that by listening to your breath, by getting curious about the sensations happening in your body. Just noticing, and maybe even labeling it if that's helpful. This left hip flexor is really tight. Oof, I'm feeling this in my right inner groin. I'm feeling it in the hip. This feels different than last week. So just observing those things, not trying to change anything. About 4 more really good breaths here. And if you are upright, let's go ahead and walk your hands in, come up to fingertips, and just take the final couple breaths. It's almost like this upward dog feeling in your upper body. Direct that left hip down, right hip gently pulls back. Good, so we're gonna move to our second side. And I think the easiest way to get there, let's just pull this left leg up and over if you're upright, and you can just release if you're on your back, and then find your tabletop position again here. So we set up for any version of your dragon pose. So left foot forward, right knee slides back. So this is like the mid-level, medium flying dragon. If you're on your back, you're holding that inner left thigh, pulling down, kind of letting that knee turn out a little bit. Maybe you're grabbing the outer edge of the foot. Right knee can be bent, or you can extend that leg to straight. Good, and if you're upright, you are more than welcome to do any of the variations. So again, we have our high flying dragon, gets a little more into the front of the leg, which can feel really juicy and nice sometimes. Maybe you want to find your low flying dragon, and you can kind of step out a little bit and even wing that, that leg open, perhaps coming down a little further. And maybe you're splitting the difference with a few of those. So here's the other thing. This side might be completely different. You might have been upright this side, but perhaps you actually need to come onto your back. So if that's you, go there. It's completely fine. It doesn't always need to look exactly the same side to side, and in fact, it won't. Listen to your breath. Try to release tension from the places in your body where it doesn't need to be there. Oh, Yin, you hurt so good. And down to our final minute in this side. Almost there, a couple more good breaths, stay with it. All right, so you're gonna start to make your way out. If you're on your back, just release down. And then we're gonna come into either our sleeping swan or your reclining pigeon on your back. So we're gonna start to walk this left foot over. Drag that right knee back, maybe even peek back. So you wanna make sure that that leg isn't winging off to the side. Again, it's like cobra pose or Shavasana. So the tighter you are, the more you're gonna bring that left heel closer to your right hip. If you're a little more open, you can start to square this shin to the top of your mat. Probably you're somewhere in the middle. And then you start to fold on in. If you're on your back, you're taking your left ankle above your right knee. And you can just stay like that with your right foot resting on the earth. Otherwise, if you want a little more, bend that right knee into your chest. Interlace fingers either around your thigh or your shin. Sleeping swan pose. How does this side feel as compared to the other side? Is it easier? Is it about the same? Is it a little more intense? What's going on for you? And what's going on with your breath? Or with your thoughts? It's hard to be present and calm when things are intense, when poses are challenging, when life is challenging. But we practice it, we get better at it. Some days we nail it, most days we don't, but we keep showing up. If nothing else, you're just feeling a little bit of gratitude that you can at the very least approach these poses, even if it doesn't look as good as you think it should. More important to be moving in a direction. Almost there. About 4 more really good breaths. And if you are upright, let's go ahead and walk our hands in. So just finishing up here. Can be on fingertips, press shoulder heads back. Release that right hip down a little more. So it's just going to kind of lengthen everything out and then maybe intensify the stretching that you're feeling. Good. We're going to make our way out of this. So if you're upright, just swing that right leg up and over. And then let's extend legs to straight here. Give them a shake. If you're on your back, you're going to uncross that left ankle and you're going to hug both knees into your chest. Before we move towards our Shavasana, let's take a few minutes in a supported bridge pose. And I'm going to give you the option to take that into more of a hip flexor stretch. We've opened these up a little, quite a bit, so you might want to go that direction. So you're going to have either a block or a bolster. A cushion from the couch works well. We're going to lay down here. All right, so inhale, you're going to lift up, and then you're going to slide that block underneath your sacrum. So not to be too terribly graphic, but you basically want the block to go towards your butt crack, not the other direction. What happens sometimes is that we put it in our lumbar. It's super, super uncomfortable. So we want to feel stable and supported. The sacrum is this triangle at the bottom of the tailbone. So it's this nice flat surface to rest on. And you can choose whatever height you want with the block. If you're on a bolster, sometimes you have to start sitting on the bolster and then lay back down. So all good ways to get there. I'm going to start the timer. So again, a few minutes here. You can kind of snuggle the shoulders under. Again, you can maybe do cactus arms if you want to stretch out across the pectorals a little bit, maybe clasp opposite elbows. And then finally, too, if you want to get more stretch, more sensation into the front of the leg, the hip flexor, press forward through one heel and then the other. And I do find that in this version, you do want to activate the feet a little bit. Otherwise, it can tug on the lumbar. You could even do one leg at a time if that feels a little more manageable in your body. So I'll cue you at the halfway mark if you're in that camp. Otherwise, you're just in your supported bridge pose. Soaking up that sound of your breath. Maybe even soaking up the sensation of the stretch that you're feeling. Crazy though that may sound. Okay, so if you're extending one leg forward, go ahead and switch. You can change the cross of your arms if you're doing that variation up overhead. If your legs are extended and it's starting to feel a little wonky in your lower back, like too much, go ahead and bend your knees, come back to your bridge pose for a final minute. Get a few more deep breaths here. All right, so if your legs are extended, you're gonna bend your knees. On an inhale, we press into our feet, remove the block or the bolster out from underneath you. Nice and gentle. Give the knees a little squeeze and rock a little bit from side to side. Before we set up into our Shavasana, let's release the spine with a spinal twist. So keep knees squeezing in, arms come out in a T shape. As you exhale, drop knees to the left. And then maybe start to gaze out over your right fingertips. If you want to engage the core a little bit, maybe you lift the knees up. Do make sure that you're pressing into both shoulder blades. Inhale to center. And then exhale, knees drop off to the right. So again, knees can hover if you want to kind of engage the core. And that can actually feel good after that deep back bend that we just did. Or you can allow knees to fully rest on the floor. Feel both shoulder blades heavy. Maybe you're looking out over your left fingertips. Inhale up to center. And we did it. We come into our final resting pose here. So Shavasana, whatever that might look like for you. Knees might knock together, feet wide. Maybe you come into classic Shavasana. You could always take a little support underneath your knees. This is especially nice if you do tend to have sensation underneath your lower back. Just a couple of minutes here. Let your next inhale be deeper. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, let it go. Ha. And then you're going to wiggle fingers and toes, bring some gentle movement back to your body. Maybe reach arms up overhead, stretch out. Staying soft and quiet. Roll to one side or the other. Just find the fetal position. And then you're going to use your hands to help you press up to a comfortable seat. And just notice, observe how good you feel here. So even if you're still feeling tight, you're feeling better than you did when you started. So it's really wonderful what happens when we start to move and breathe. Send yourself love and gratitude for showing up, for making the effort, for working hard. Just promise yourself that you're going to carry this good feeling with you into the rest of the day, the rest of the week ahead. Bring your palms together at your heart. And bow your head with a smile. Beautiful work today. Thank you.